Welcome back to Bull Sessions here on 680 KFEQ. You can email your questions or comments to bull@willcross.net. Once again, here's Randy Baker and agronomist Brad Law.
Okay, Brad, back again. Did you hold that thought?
Well, not really.
Okay, you've done.
We're talking about soil testing, right?
We're talking about soil testing and how important it is.
Because I want to grow more bushels.
Big bushels.
I'm not buying other land because that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to grow more bushels off the space that I've got. And we're starting out that with a soil test.
I think a lot of people's in the same boat out here with our commodity prices where they are. I mean, we've got to milk this cow for all she's worth.
Well, and that's one good point. Commodity prices are low and fertilizer prices have gone down too.
That's a plus.
It's hard to do, but if you've got the cash, now's the time to be buying fertilizer.
I agree.
I mean, we've got, let's talk about potassium, for example. One of my favorite nutrients because my soil is low in it, so I want to build it up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it used to be, $600-800 a ton. Now it's $200 and some a ton.
Big difference.
That excites me when I'm pushing the potash on my soil.
Mm-hmm.
That big price difference, it's like, man, it sucks when you're going from $9 beans from 15.
Right.
That big price went down, but also my fertilizer's cheaper. So it's like, well, if I spend, $20 on this or $40 on this, that's going to get that up.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm, you're old, I'm young. So when I invest in this soil,
Right.
I started doing this in my 20s. And, I've got neighbors that, they're in their 90s.
Right.
Okay, if you fix this soil now, and then all you have to do is maintenance it for higher yields, when we get the rain, you got to have the juice to grow it.
Yeah.
So let's get it juiced now, and then that'll help us on down the road. Think forward, think in the future, not at the end of your nose. You like to say that.
I do say that.
Okay, but I'm looking, not 5, not 10, but you got to calculate, do some quick math. What's 90 minus 32 or 31 now yet?
You've got 2 boys, one on the way, that is going to reap this benefit as well.
Well, let's leave something behind. Let's make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're starting. We got to look at the test. We got to see what's going on. Now, once we get those test results back, and on these test results, I'm on an online forum quite a bit, and people say, oh, we're talking about this. Well, then randomly in my email, I'll get soil tests will pop up all winter long.
Right.
People say, hey, what do you think about this? They want, we don't sell fertilizer at the seed house.
Right.
Okay, we sell seed, and we want our seed to do good. And
Absolutely.
When they're clean and when the ground's fertile and we get good weather, it's pretty easy to make beans look good, good to make corn look good. So we look at stuff and we look at those
like
soil
your fertilizer you're talking about went down price-wise, you've got to look, too, with the commodity price where it's at, every place you can save a buck.
Mm-hmm.
Soil testing might be able to help you save a buck, even though you're going to have to spend some. It can help you make another one. I mean, even our seed costs, did we go up on any of them? No, we didn't this year. In fact, some of them,
They
our
went down.
glyphosate tolerance, we dropped the price on them, and we are a 50-pound bag, always remember.
Okay. So we get that soil test results back, okay, and we're looking at it, and there's a lot of numbers on there, and it can be confusing, okay, and to understand, we're talking about soil testing, good parts of the soil, good parts that, they kick butt, okay. He's looking at me like I can't say that word. There's another word that I was going to use, but I edited that, or Miles would have had to.
We're talking about soil testing.
But we want that soil to excel. We want it to be that guy, that pulling tractor that they hook that pin, they give him the green flag, and he just walks the dog to 350 feet. He just puts her down.
We want our soil that way.
Okay. So we get this report and we start looking at it, and Randy's talking about saving money. Well, if something is adequate or sufficient or more than sufficient, do we keep throwing money and applying more?
No.
We spend the money on what's low and what we need to, do we build? Do we balance? I talk about balancing the soil because I don't do the sufficiency theory. A lot of the universities promote a sufficiency theory, whereas I do the algebraic cash and balancing to get the soil more balanced to create a healthy, balanced soil. So it's a little bit different, and it works for me, but I'm doing that on own land. So we're looking at this soil test.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't do that on cash rent ground or something. You're going to do your sufficiency.
Well, if I make the ground better and then somebody else comes and rents it from you,
I get that.
That's you could do a whole nother show on that. But we're talking about soil test, okay? Yes. We did a good job. We got our samples back. We're looking at it. Okay, we've got this thing called this phosphorus. Phosphorus, you ever apply, P and K? Well, that's the P. They have this thing called a P1 bray and a P2 bray. Okay, P1 is available to the plant. P2 is there, but it's slowly going to be mineralized to be available in the future. So that's kind of like a savings account that you can bank on. All right.
Something you'd want to build on, right?
Something you want to build on. And before that, we've got this stuff called, it says organic matter. Organic matter is pretty neat stuff.
It's a big deal. What are you doing with your phone?
I'm looking up. I got to get me a little cheat sheet. We've got that, email at bulletwillcross.net. And I got this,
I thought you was calling the banker there for a minute.
I may need to, but if you didn't delete it, I sent something to bulletwillcross.net yesterday.
They may have.
And, oh, no, you did not delete it.
I missed one.
See, we can work together and share things. And when two people are receiving the email, that bulletwillcross.net, it can get interesting because Randy deletes everything. But I'd found some thoughts on organic matter. And I thought they were pretty good, and I wanted to share them with everybody. Let's say a typical organic matter around Northwest Missouri and around is typically around 3%.
Yes.
Okay. I pulled some pasture that had never been plowed. That had an organic matter of 5.4%.
That's huge.
That is huge. I got one guy that I talked to that does a bunch of cover cropping and no-till and's been on it for several years, and he's up around that 5%. Say, well,
on
5%, that's just a number on a soil test. What's that mean? Okay. Well, we look at that, and that organic matter can release 10 to 20 pounds of nitrogen through the growing season.
That's a lot.
And that's every year, and we don't know if it's 10 or 20. It just depends on the environmental conditions. So if you've got 3% and it releases 10 pounds, that's 30 pounds. If it releases 20 pounds, that's 60 pounds of free nitrogen. That could be the difference between putting 100 pounds in on something or 160 pounds, or if it does 120, that's a good deal. It helps build that. Okay. And you can get an understanding of, that's what that means. It also deals with holding of water. They say like a 2% soil organic matter holds 32,000 gallons of water.
That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water. Well, that's only 21% of a 5.5 inch rain. Have you ever had a 5.5 inch rain on your farm?
I have.
Just a few. Well, let's say if you had 5%. Okay, that would hold 80,000 gallon of water.
It's unreal.
Okay, that's only 53% of that 5.5 inch rain. So that's
you lost half of it.
You lost half of it. But still, you can start to see these things like, that organic matter is really low. Maybe I should try to cover crop or keep residue on that soil to try to build that up, to make my soil better. Then we go and we look at, our pH. And I'm not a huge fan of pH, but like we talked a while back about trizine herbicides like metribuzin. Well, that herbicide is pH sensitive.
Okay.
Higher.
Explain that.
Okay, to make that, the higher the pH, the more active that herbicide is. So, there's some of our buddies in Nebraska that's got some high pH soils that are high sodium.
A bunch of them do, yeah.
Okay. They've got to be careful and use lower rates of that because their low rate may be the same as our at a higher rate. So you want to use that lower one because you can get that friendly fire. So that's one of those things. A little test can help you understand that. Maybe that's why that place is done. Maybe we can't do anything about it, but we can understand why and look at that to go better.
And if somebody has questions like that, they can email, right?
Yes,
and you can answer those for them.
They can send us some stuff at bulletwillcross.net. I've got some old issues of Bull that we send out to our customers that I've went into more detail. It's only 1 page long, so hopefully it
Right.
doesn't go too deep, but deep enough to we can go one-on-one and discuss it further from there. But that's the reason, we want to educate, we want to learn.
Sure.
And then we've got this little thing called CEC.
Cation exchange capacity.
Boy, if I had a sticker,
I remember
would,
that from my school. I went to UC
Well-
Billy. You're not the only one that went to school forever.
Well, Randy, if I had a gold star, I would give you one for memorizing that. You're done for the rest of the
That's
show.
it. I'm
You've
done.
got that one.
I'm done.
Okay. That means how many cations? Like what's a cation? You've got your potassium, your magnesium, your calcium, your hydrogen, your sodium, all those attached. You think of a CEC would be like a sprocket, a sprocket on a combine or a hay
Right.
baler.
Right.
Well, those little points would be, let's say my CEC of my soil is, let's say, 20. That means there'd be 20 little points on that little piece of soil to hold those nutrients onto. Now, if somebody was farming beach sand and had a CEC of, let's say, 3, they can't hold those nutrients. So they're going to manage that soil different than a heavy soil. Or let's say we go to one of the guys I talked to down in Texas. He's got a CEC of 50. That's twice as heavy as my soil. So we want to understand those so we can understand how much we can move it. And like a lighter CEC soil, we can take less pounds of a cation to, let's say it takes less potassium to build it up, less poundings.
Okay, hang on a minute. We're going to take a little break.
Okay, but I'm excited about this, Randy.
You're excited about this. Brad will want to talk forever and ever on this, but it needs to be talked about. When we come back to Bull Sessions on 680 KFEQ.